Hello friends. So today's video is going to be about Canvas assignments, and it's kind of like an introduction or an overview as that could be a topic that gets quite extensive. So this is a starting point. All right. Just to quickly review, I am in a sandbox, and in previous videos I had I cleaned up my menu and I had made some modules. I made 4 modules, and in the first one, you can look at the icons. Apologies for the little dog over there. And the icons tell you what each item is. So the first one is a page. The next one with the rocket ship is a quiz. The next one is an assignment. And the last one is a discussion topic. And the most quickest way to add assignments or pages or discussions is not by going to assignments and then adding it, and then after adding it here, then adding it to the module. The most efficient way is to add it directly here. So I'm going to add an assignment to this Tigers module. I click the plus, and the default option is assignment. There are more options. If you click on the menu, other things come up like quiz, file, pages, but we're looking at assignment today. I'm going to click on new assignment and let's call it Tiger assignment and add. So I added a placeholder. I need to add content and set all the settings, but notice that if I go to assignments, Tiger assignment got added here as well. And it tells me that it got added to module 2, Tiger's module. These other assessments, the quizzes and this assignment, are in the first module. Okay, so you see the connection between these menu items and where things reside or live versus where they are organized, which is in modules. All right, so now that I've got my Tigers assignment, I'm going to click on the title to start editing or building it. Click the pencil to edit. And I do want to make sure I've given it a meaningful name. I recommend staying away from names that include dates, because that means you will have to edit those next year. And there is always room for error when you type dates into the name of a page or the name of an assignment, or even in the text box, because there's no way to really find those quickly and easily. Instead, use the due dates to help students know when the assignment is due. Okay. So a meaningful name, the advice is to stay away from dates, and then clear instructions. So I typed, please look over yada yada, then yada yada, submit yada yada. Okay, and then I've got the points, and if we're doing formative and summative, this would all change depending on the situation. So you could do points, or you can change points and make it complete or incomplete. So you could just take that out. You can check the do not count this assignment towards the final grade if you aren't doing all grading in Canvas, or even if you are doing all grading in Canvas, but this is more like a like a practice or something like that, that you don't want to include, that's good. Okay, fine. Now, submission types, this is where it gets fun. So a no submission would be where you just want column in the grade book. They're not really submitting anything to you, but you want to include a grade there. Online is going to be the most common thing. And then online gives you more options. So you can have a text entry box where students type directly into a text box, like the same as this. And they have all the same tools so they can format their text. And there is coming soon a save draft option, I think, or an option where there's an autosave. Autosave is coming soon. The only thing you can't do when students submit with text entry is you don't get the annotation tools. So a text entry would be more where you want to get a paragraph of them where they express an idea, and you're not really editing their work. You still get to say complete or incomplete or give a grade and write some comments on the side, but you can't use annotation tools on this text entry. The website URL is so they can submit a website URL to you and you get to see that web page. This might be like find an example of, an ad, or find an example of this type of article, or find an op-ed piece that leans in this direction. So they are submitting a URL to you of a website. They could also submit that URL to you in a text entry, and you would click the link and open, and it would be part of their writing to you. But if it's just the URL, then they can submit that. This might also help with Google links. So as long as they have the sharing, whoever has the URL, they could include that URL there. Media recording is for when you want them to submit audio and video to you, and that could be using the tools within Canvas, or they could also upload a video that they recorded elsewhere. And then file uploads. Okay. File uploads is where you want them to upload a static file. So a Word doc, a PowerPoint, a PDF. And I think that's becoming less common with students using Google. Google is also becomes an option for them to upload to you. So when they are navigating, they can navigate through Google to access the file, and it'll upload it, and it will convert it to a Word doc or a PowerPoint. So that's a pretty cool option as well. You could potentially click all of these if you wanted to give students choice or just different options. But just be clear to not do them all without telling them that it's a choice, and otherwise they don't know which way to submit. So either give them one option and everyone submits the same, or in your instructions you say you have the option to do this and I expect something like this, or submit this and the expectations. All right, so it could be a choice. Also the file uploads is the only one of these that does give you annotation tools. So you can highlight, you can select, you can comment, and things like that. So plagiarism review, I won't go into that. And group assignments, I won't go into that. And peer reviews, I won't go into that today because all of those are more advanced. Shh, quiet. All right. And then we've got this assigned to. So if you've got more than one section of students in your course, you can assign the assignment to everyone with the same due date, or you can uncheck everyone and say, okay, I'm going to assign it to this section on a specific day and time, and then click add and say, I want to give it to this other section at this different day and time. Oops, not available to. So you can differentiate the dates, one assignment, two different due dates for, different periods. Or let's say you want to make one assignment for one group of students, one section of students, and not the other section. Okay, so then the other thing to look at is the due dates versus availability dates. Due dates is when you would like the students to submit by. The availability dates are completely optional, and in my opinion, I would just skip it. It's like an extra thing and actually can be somewhat annoying when you copy over course content, because I think those availability dates stay, and then you'd have to change all of those. So that is a nuisance. So availability dates really just means students cannot see or cannot access the assignment outside of those dates. And very few teachers find a need for that. Okay, so that's what that is. So then you can save if you're not finished, or save and publish if you are ready for students to see the assignment. Oops. Okay. And I think that might be all. So if I go to modules, I can now see that Tiger assignment is for 0 points. Oh, look at that. I published this assignment, but because it's part of an unpublished module, the students won't be able to see that assignment. Okay. The other thing that's very nice is if these things are actually out of order, I can drag and drop. Make sure you drag and drop by holding the double lines of dots. So I would need to publish that module, or the students won't see this assignment. And furthermore, if I have not published my course, they won't see the modules. Okay, so that was from home. I think that's all I wanted to share with you on assignments. I think there was actually more. Let me see, let me make sure. Right. So we were looking at online assignments, but there are other options as well. So there was no submission. I don't know if you can see, but on submission type, there was no submission. There's online, there's on paper. So a student would actually hand you a piece of paper, but you're using Canvas to do the grading. And then there's external tool. So external tool is what you use to do the Google Cloud assignments, which is kind of similar to what can be done with Google Classroom, where you create one document and then it makes copies for each student. So you would go to Google Docs Cloud assignment and you would navigate your drive to find the document you want to share with them. And I'm just going to leave that. Cancel that. So that's where you would do this. Know that if you make any changes to that Google Doc before students access it, they will get your newest version. But if any student who accesses that document, if you make any change, after you make any changes, they'll get the newest version and not the previous version. So be sure of your Google document before the students start accessing. Okay, I do think that that is about all now. So I'm going to save. And change that back to. Okay. To see your student submissions, you would go to SpeedGrader. So you'd come back to the assignment to see the SpeedGrader, and that is where you would then see your student submissions. Okay, now I think I'm done. Thank you. Bye-bye.